Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who feels like her partner's metaphorical punching bag. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not professionals. We are not trained in any of this. We are just two people with microphones. So please take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding, but mostly confusing experience that is love. All right, today's letter is coming to us from Sensitive Sally, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from Grumpy Town, Turkey. Hi, loves. Your podcast makes me so happy. I'm in a 1.5-year relationship with my boyfriend, who I moved in with 9 months ago, and things have been rocky in the most confusing way. He's a stable partner in that he is committed to being in a long-term monogamous relationship, but his mood extremes are off the chart. He is already on medication to help with depression, but it doesn't seem to be helping at all. I think what is needed is stress management or talk therapy, which he isn't open to. So anyway, we are on a roller coaster for a few days, good terms followed by a few days on bad terms. Repeat, repeat, repeat. When I say bad, I mean I am forced to keep my distance because he turns ice cold and isn't receptive to relating whatsoever. I feel as though I am always at the whim of his moods. For example, one night he'll have trouble making eye contact or holding conversation, doesn't want to be touched. Then the next morning he'll come and hug me, say good morning after we went to bed on what felt like the silent treatment. In this situation, he's moved on from his bad mood and is now feeling better, but I'm still hurting from my experience from the night before. This happens almost every week. Should I just suck it up each time and let him come back to open arms every time he's ready and then brace myself for the next time he takes away his affection again? I feel like I could use this as a solution, but it feels so unfair. My first instinct is to protect myself and not open back up because I don't know when he'll close off again. The petty part of me wants to hold a grudge, like, no, you can't just come close to me now after how you acted yesterday. Little teaser, that's not petty. It's totally reasonable.
Love that you experience that as pettiness, because I don't.
That seems like an appropriate reaction to the consequences of his actions.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not saying he's not allowed to be in a bad mood. Of course, mood changes are normal, but when he's in a bad mood, I feel like I am enemy number one, no matter how positive I try to stay. Is this emotional abuse or is this to be expected? Help. When I tell him how much it upsets me, he says his behavior is normal and that it is made bigger by my reaction. But that was hard to read. But I don't like feeling like his punching bag, and that if he's okay, the relationship is okay, and that if he's not in a good mood, then it feels like we have no relationship. Is this fair? Since we've been through this cycle so many times, I have learned that he always does come back and that there is always more affection and closeness coming around the corner. But when the bad days comes, it feels so hurtful every time, even knowing that it's temporary. He is very much in the position that this is how he deals with stress and that I need to adjust. I don't want to police how he copes, but something feels really off about it. When I have had a hard day at work or I am just stressed, seeing him and coming home gives me relief and happiness. I never want to take any of my bad mood out on him. Whether in a good or bad mood, my affection remains the same. Sorry so long. Is one way of coping right or wrong? Is this acceptable behavior to put up with knowing he's committed and that he'll always come back around? I was always a firm believer that you should bring your best to your partner, and I have a very low tolerance for the normalization of giving your best face to strangers and the worst to your family and partner. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
All right, Sensitive Sally. I just want to name that this is really challenging, this situation. And, I don't think you're being sensitive right now, right? Like overly sensitive. I think that everything about this sounds really hard and sounds difficult. You're trying to navigate situation with a partner where you're trying to figure out how to accommodate what he needs and ask for support in being able to navigate through what seems like a really challenging cycle, and you're being met with a stone wall. You know, I think what is really challenging for me about this letter and the way that you talk about the situation is just watching you self-efface so much that you apparently have no needs in this relationship, and any need that you have is being petty or overly sensitive or not being a good enough caretaker. And it's just amazing to me the way in which women are socialized to totally be there and emotionally open and present and ready to caretake for the men in their lives, right? And the reality of the ways in which I'm watching you explain what you're feeling, which is really deeply understandable given the circumstances, and then say, but am I making this up, right? Or am I being unfair because of the ways that we ask women to constantly caretake for men without ever asking for the things that they need or pushing those men in their lives to do something different? And it's just, this letter makes me sad. Like, that's all I can say about it. I'm like, don't take that and be like, oh my God, this is a terrible thing that I'm doing. It is heartbreaking to me to read through this letter and see how much you're hurting and see how reasonable that hurt is and see how much you're trying to accommodate the needs of your partner, and to be met with no source of accountability or support for you. And then to watch you say, am I making this up, right? Am I being unreasonable? Is it fair for me to be upset with the fact that he stonewalls me for days at a time and then just immediately wants to go back to normal, right? Like, so all of this to say that we love you. We're going to offer some love and support and some maybe perspective shift on some of this. But as we're going through this, just know that Sierra and I love you, that we see a pattern that's happening here, and that what you're asking for in this relationship is absolutely reasonable and needs tending to. So we're going to take a quick break, but we will be back in just a minute.
All right, my darlings, welcome back. And a special welcome to our letter writer, who I feel very kindred to and very protective of. I want to give you a big hug and hold you by the shoulders and say your instincts are real. And yes, people do have different reactions. People do have different coping mechanisms, but that doesn't negate this nagging feeling that you have in the back of your head. Do you know how incredibly reasonable it is of you, a loving, supportive partner, to not feel interested in reciprocating affection after you were emotionally stonewalled for hours on end? Yes, that is a consequence of that person's actions. And listen, we are not perfect in our relationships. We will never show up perfectly for our partners because we are not mind readers. But the way your partner is reacting might sustain him, might be the right coping mechanism that makes him feel capable and strong, but it is emotionally immature. It is emotionally manipulative to you. Airing on abusive. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of your relationships, but the anytime you go from like silent treatment, stonewalling, like no emotional availability, like 0 to 180 and back again, and there's that wave that you have to ride, and you even said it in your letter that you're waiting, you know it's going to be good again. You're just going to wait for that good again. Anytime there's that wave, I think, oh my God, this is emotional abuse, because I want to tell you so lovingly, my darling, that there are thousands of relationships, thousands of men out there who have found better ways to deal with their emotions than this. This might be his coping mechanism. It might work for him, but it's hurting you. It's hurting your relationship, and it is not sustainable for not just your relationships, but any relationship in the future for him. Like there's this weaponized incompetence that happens to particularly men when it comes to their emotions. And it's sad. I mean, Sam and I were talking about it before we recorded, that this isn't just about the way women are socialized to receive men's emotions however they come, but it's also about how we have culturally abandoned men emotionally. You know, not to say that you, the letter writer, needs to coach him through this, but that like young boys, teenagers, they are taught so early to bottle things up, to not learn how to talk about them, to not be emotionally generous, to not be vulnerable. And you know what? I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but like vulnerability is saying, oh, I'm in such a bad mood right now. Hey, I snapped at you. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have snapped at you. Or, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm not in the mood right. I don't have the capacity to have a conversation right now. So can we just have it when I'm like calm down? That's emotional maturity. That's vulnerability.
I mean,
shutting
just like,
down.
Yeah, no, it's like, you know, you talk about this idea of like, is there one right way of coping? And no, there isn't. And there are ways of coping that are more emotionally supportive of your partner, right? Imagine like what Sierra said, if instead of just stonewalling you for a day, he was like, hey, I'm in a terrible mood. I just need to process by myself. And then the next day when he's feeling better, coming to you and saying like, hey, how are you doing? I know that yesterday was a little rough. How can I help support you and remind you that I love you, right? Like there's just like so many different ways that this could be handled. And I understand for sure. I'm someone too who needs time to process by myself, right? Like I am someone who wants to figure out what I'm feeling before I talk about those feelings. But I've also had to learn ways to let people into that process so that I'm not just completely aloof to them, right? Like this happened just recently where Peter was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm really crabby. I don't want to talk about it. Nothing needs to change. You don't need to do anything about it. I just need time to be crabby by myself, right? And like what a world of difference that would be if instead of snapping, or instead of just not responding to your questions or not touching you or not making eye contact, he said something like that to you, which is such a reasonable thing to be asking him. Like you can process in whatever way you want, but you do need to have enough emotional maturity to be able to help invite people into understanding of that process and recognize that your own actions have consequences on the people around you, right? Which is not what he's saying. Instead, he's saying, you're making me feel worse by having a feeling about this, which is like, oh my God, this is like textbook emotionally immature parent shit, right? Like I'm feeling like, oh my God, I have like, it's like I'm talking to my dad.
Yeah. I want to say too, like you didn't really articulate what would bring on these bad moods, but I'm assuming because you didn't say like, he's mad at me, I did something to upset him or whatever. I'm assuming this is like life circumstance, cranky at work, in a bad mood, whatever. I don't know. And I want to draw the line. Okay, so your day sucks and you are taking that out on your partner by not making eye contact or holding conversation, not touching her. Listen, you want emotional space. You don't have to take away what comforts other people. You can literally do what Sam just said and say, I'm in a really intense mood right now. Let me just give you a hug and then I'm going to go take a walk and be by myself. There are so many ways to hold yourself accountable and be available for people while taking care of your own needs. That's possible. And he can do it. He's choosing instead to punish you for his bad days. And I also want to say, maybe you did cause his bad mood. Maybe you had an argument or like you didn't you didn't do the chore you said you were going to do, whatever. Like maybe you are, quote, the cause of his bad mood. Then listen, relationships, communication, love is not built on a system of rewards and punishments, right? When I am mad at my wife, I owe it to her humanness and our relationship and our partnership to still come at her with love and respect and understanding, because people who punish each other when you're angry are on the fucking playground to me. That is such a childish behavior. Like, oh, I pushed you because you pushed me. My feelings are hurt, so I'm going to hurt your feelings. That is just the most childish shit out there. And I sound like, I know that is such an ingrained behavior in all of us. Like, our parents taught us that, school districts taught us that, whatever. But I'm too old. I'm too tired. and I just don't want to stand for that world anymore. I don't want my daughter to grow up and go out and date. And if she like upsets her partner and makes a mistake, whatever, I don't know, I'm spiraling. I want us to think about conflict as not ways to one up and hurt each other, right? I want to think about conflicts as an opportunity to connect and understand, even when we're mad at each other. Even when if you're mad, so if your boyfriend's mad at you and he doesn't want to be around you, he can still connect with you and say, I love you. I'm upset right now. I need some space. And how different would that feel? Him just saying that to you than him stonewalling you, not touching you, not looking you in the eye. That is such a trigger for me. To this day, I'm triggered by it. Like, and Will will be like, I'm literally folding laundry. Like, I'm looking at the laundry that I'm folding. And I was like, I got it. Anyway, I just want to say that is, even if you did upset him, that you still don't deserve this roller coaster of an emotional landscape that your relationship is trying to find peace on. Where's the peace? There's too many waves.
And the reality is that your partner is getting everything that he wants out of this relationship, right? Like, he gets to behave as a petulant child and then come back to you and get everything that he wants when he's in a good mood, right? Like that thing that you said where it's like, he gets to be in a relationship when it's convenient for him. When he's in a good mood, he gets to be in a relationship. And when he's in a bad mood, he doesn't have to be. And it's like, yeah, that is currently how you're not making that up. That is how your relationship is currently functioning. And my question for you, my love, is that the type of relationship that you want, right? Do you want to be in a relationship that is only dependent on his good moods? Right? Do you want a relationship that stops functioning if he's upset about something? And I don't think that you do. And I want to create, like I said, I want to create space for the idea that people cope differently. And I want to create space for the fact that, you know, it sounds like he has some mental health stuff that he's working through. And we can't use those things as weapons against other people. And he's also choosing not to use tools that are available to him to help him navigate through this relationship in a way that is more accommodating and supportive of you and of himself, right? He's not using talk therapy. He's not using stress relief tools. And for me, that's a big issue because I think that it is very reasonable of you to say, hey, friend, this relationship is not working for me. Right? This relationship, in the way that it's currently going, is making me feel bad all of the time. And so if you are interested in creating a relationship that actually allows me to take up some space, then we can do that. But here are the things that I need to happen, right? I need you to be going to therapy. I need you to be talking to me more about what your feelings are, even if it's just to say, I'm not in a good mood. I still love you. I just need some space. Those are all reasonable things to ask. And I want a relationship that's also on your terms, right? Like, I think that's why there's maybe some frustration in my voice. I'm not frustrated at you. I'm frustrated with the idea that this relationship exists only to serve him and that's deeply unfair. And you deserve better than that. You deserve a relationship where with somebody who's able to say to you, I'm in a bad mood, or who's able to say, hey, I need this thing, or is able to say, hey, I know that the way that I was behaving yesterday caused you some pain, and I'm sorry about that. How can I help make amends? What can I do to help support you? And there are people out there that are capable of doing that. And honestly, I think your boyfriend probably is capable of doing it. He's just choosing not to because he has no reason not to, right? He's getting everything that he wants.
For me right there is that... That's the shit for me right there. That makes me angry. And like Sam said, I'm not angry with you, letter writer. I'm frustrated because of the ineptitude that that people get, that they get so comfortable in that, you know what I mean? But we all have the same fucking, I don't know. I trailed off there because I feel conflicted, but like the emotional labor that you're doing to ride his waves,
Yep.
he can do some of that labor for you.
He can.
Like
Absolutely.
telling you, I'm in a bad mood, I need some space. Being accountable to how that bad mood lands on you. That's labor, right? That's emotional labor that he could do for you and he's choosing not to.
And he's even saying, when you ask me to do any of this emotional labor with you, you make me feel bad. And so I'm not going to do it. Right. Like that is what he's telling you. And I'm saying it that explicitly because I want you to see that the pattern of this relationship is that your partner gets all of the emotional care that he wants and you get none of it. And then you, my love, ask yourself and to strangers on the internet, whether this is a
real?
fair shake. Yeah, absolutely. Whether this is real, whether this is reasonable. And so I'm being as explicit as possible in this because I want you to see what Sierra and I see, which is that this relationship is deeply one-sided, that it is deeply unfair to you, that you deserve better, and that your partner is capable of better. And he is not using the tools that are available to him to figure out how to navigate through this relationship in a way that is not as emotionally exhausting for you as it is. And you deserve better than that, right? You deserve to find love either in this relationship or elsewhere that is going to be more reciprocal, where they're going to share in the emotional labor that is necessary for relationships to function, right? And he's not doing that. Like point blank, he's not doing that. And something needs to change about that.
I just got like really emotional because I was listening to you talk and I was picturing the last time I felt this way in a relationship. And it was a relationship with waves, whims, bad moods. You know, it was just like waiting for the next time that I was in their good graces. And as you were talking, I was thinking about that relationship and I leaned my head out like to look out my window. And the leaves on a tree in my property are already changing colors. Okay, it's August. They're already changing to yellow. And we experienced like a beautiful fall here in New York. And it just made me like think like, I know it's so hard and scary to leave what feels like a good thing sometimes, right? Or change or challenge what feels sustainable. You keep saying he's loyal. He wants this long-term relationship. He's here. And when it's good, it's good. But how tired are you? How on edge are you? How easily accessed is your peace? Because time is passing. Like your life is happening now. And you deserve a relationship in which you feel secure and stable and safe enough to grow in, to make mistakes in. That's the other thing. Like, you need to be able to know that you can make a mistake in this relationship because you will, because you're a human, and know that that mistake will be received in a safe way, right? And reciprocated, and your energy will be reciprocated. And I'm not saying you need to leave this man, but I just want to I just got this epiphany, your life is happening now and you deserve what you think what you might feel in the back of your mind that you deserve, right? Like that inkling, that instinct that is whispering to you, you deserve it. This is real. Your feelings are real. And Sam and I want you to do what you need to do to seek it out in this relationship
Absolutely.
Or in another one.
Absolutely. All right, my
I love you.
Yes. Thank you
And
so
we are
much for
so
writing.
glad you wrote us.
For sure. Absolutely.
We hope this helps.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get access to those monthly office hours, which, as Sierra always says, is the hidden gem of Just Break Up.
Hidden
it's
gem.
When we It's when we get on Zoom and we chat with all of our patrons. And Sierra and I kind of kick things off with a check-in topic, and then we answer people's questions in real time as they come up for folks. And it's super fun and engaging, and everyone there is like so loving and also hilarious. So you should definitely check it out. Our next office hours are coming up on August 27th. That's a Tuesday. They are at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Sign up for Patreon now and you'll get access to those monthly office hours. You could do it for 1 month and see kind of how it goes and whether or not you like it, and then cancel your subscription. We are totally okay with that. We're also totally okay if you would rather buy, I don't know, bananas with your $5. That's also very reasonable. But if you're interested in supporting us,
a latte these days is $6. Bananas under $5. I get it.
Yeah. All right. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship meme, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music recording, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his music and podcasts. And remember, I know it's scary to admit to yourself that you deserve better, that you deserve something different, but it's true. And your life is happening now. Time is passing now. And you deserve to seek out actively the life that you are worthy of and the love that you are worthy of. Change is scary, but the unknown is magical. And if all else fails,
just break up.